Today what we're going to do is dispel the notion that you have to be an expert, that you have to have a stack of books and an encyclopedia to be able to train your dog. We're going to show you why and how training your dog is just a matter of love and compassion and vocabulary. Yes, vocabulary. We're going to teach words to your dog just like you would be teaching young children. And over the course of the entire video series, you will be able to put those words together in sentences and in phrases and in paragraphs, and your dog will be able to understand them. And what that does is that it puts you into a position to where you are able to become your own dog's best trainer, because he understands what you're trying to communicate to him. And you know, dogs love to please. They love to please. They just want to, you know, they want to please you every opportunity that they can. And what we're doing is giving him the tools to please you whenever you want him to do something, whether it happens to be a trick or a behavior, or just communicating with him that you don't like something he did, or something that you do like something that he did. So that's, you know, that's what we're going to be doing, is starting with a structure that will lay a foundation for your dog. And it's very important that you follow this structure with each lesson and get it completely into your dog's head before you move on to lesson number 2 or lesson number 3. You know, the concept for Benji movies is that the dog is the emotional heart of the story, the three-dimensional character, if you will. You go through the Benji movie inside the heart and soul of the dog, and so the dog has to be very natural, but still has to do a lot of things and has to literally act on the screen. I mean, Benji has to express the emotion that will tell you what the story is going on, because she can't speak to you in words. And what that does is it causes to do what I call trial and error filmmaking. When we get out on the set, we may, you know, be able to shoot it the way we thought we could, we may not. And if we can't, if the conditions of the set, the wind, the trees, the woods or whatever are such that we have to figure out another way to do something, we have to be able to communicate that to Benji. That's why it's very important that from our standpoint that we teach Benji vocabulary so that Benji can understand what's going on and what we're trying to communicate to her if we have to change everything when we get out there on the set. And you'll be able to do that too. As we go through this video, you will be able to fall back and punt, so to speak. If your dog doesn't do it this way because you're in the middle of Times Square, then you'll be able to do it that way. What we call the Benji Method actually started with a trainer whose name was Frank N. He passed away several years ago, but he was the greatest trainer movies have ever known. And one of the reasons for it is because he trained with love and compassion and communication. He's the one that started the vocabulary theory of training dogs, of teaching a dog a vocabulary just like you would teach a young child, because he was given his first dog when he was in a wheelchair after having an automobile accident, and he was not in the business at that point in time. And so he trained the dog to do things for him that he couldn't do for himself because he was in a wheelchair. And the dog loved him and he loved the dog. And out of that grew a training capacity that took him into the movie business, and he was one of the greatest ever. And for more years than I want to admit, you know, I've been studying Frank while we were doing all of these Benji movies. And what we're doing now is compressing all of what he has learned over the years, what I've learned from Frank over the years, into what we call the Benji Method. And we think you're going to be able to do things and communicate with your dog throughout its life better than you ever thought possible. You know, Benji understands when I speak to her. She understands what I want her to do, and if she doesn't, you know, understand the exact word because I haven't taught her that word yet, she gets the gist of it. Just like, you know, if you don't know a word in a book or somebody's speech, you get the gist of it. You know, so, and that's what we're trying to do with you. We want you to be able to communicate that way with your dog, and for the dog to understand what you're trying to communicate, which makes everybody a whole lot happier. Some dogs will pick up these exercises really quickly, others will be much slower in doing it. You know, dogs are just like people. You know, some are smart and some are not. Some have the personality that want to learn, some don't necessarily want to learn. They all can, but the speed at which they learn has a lot to do with their personality, their demeanor, and not just their intelligence factor. You know, for example, a Jack Russell Terrier is a whole lot different than Benji, and you know, a lot more hyper and a lot more wired, and so they will learn at different paces as you go along, but they all can learn. Every one of them can. You just have to be more patient with some than others. You know, people have asked me over the years as we travel around the world, you know, or they've said to me, you know, I really wish my dog was as smart as Benji. And you know, the odds are your dog is as smart as Benji. Your dog just has never been asked to do all the things that Benji has been asked to do, and your dog has not developed the vocabulary that Benji has. And we'll be showing you a lot of that as we go along, not only how to get it, but the kind of vocabulary that Benji does in fact have, and the way she uses it. And when you're through, if you have taken this regimen on this video and focused on it as well as your dog has focused on you, you will be able to communicate with your dog just the way that I communicate with Benji. And that's the object of this thing, is to make you the trainer, to have you totally confident in your ability to get your dog to do anything in the world that's reasonable that you want your dog to do, and you will be able to do that.